Hello everyone and welcome to this next LM simulation video here on YouTube. Now today we're taking a look on the East Coast main line from London to Peterborough. Now we're doing quite a special run. If you are following the railway at the moment, you will know that a lot of trains are running for the last ever time. You've got the HSTs on the Midland main line, but also over on the East Coast main line you've got the Class 365's, which are taking their last ever journey, and they've now been retired from the services at Great Northern. So this means that Class 387's have come in from Gatwick Express temporarily to take over services that the 365's are operating. So you've got Gatwick Express 387's as well as Great Northern 387's operating out of King's Cross now, as well as Great Northern having a fleet of Class 717's, I believe they are, that operates out of the services through to Moorgate. Anyhow, so we are in East Coast Main Line, London to Peterborough. This route's been out for quite a while. It's a Dovetail Games route, and we're going to be doing a scenario that is available on Alan Thompson Simulation. I will link it in the description. It's a scenario that has been created that depicts the last ever services of the Class 365 out of London King's Cross. I know the final service, I believe, was 12 coaches. This service is only 8. However, we are still going to go ahead and run it and work it, and that has been made that sort of discrepancy has been made aware to the person that has created the scenario. So all is good on that side. But nonetheless, we will be operating this service today. So here we are. In the wonderful London King's Cross, we're going to work this service up to as far as Peterborough. This is not going to be a drive time scenario or anything like that, a drive time video. We're going to be literally doing the service, and I'm going to be commentating throughout the video. So I do hope you enjoy, and in a moment the screen will suddenly magically reappear and we'll be in the cab of the Class 365. So hope you enjoyed this video, and welcome to the last ever trip of the Class 365's. Good evening, driver. Today you've been assigned to work the last Class 365 on the East Coast Main Line. Today you'll call it Stevenage, Biggleswade, St Neots, Huntington and then Peterborough. Departure is at 18:12, but you are free to depart as soon as boarding is complete. Enjoy the run. So, if I remember rightly, this service is driver operated. We don't have a guard on board, so we'll be doing all the doors ourselves. We're going to keep the DRA on because we're going to keep the DRA on because we've got a red signal and the repeaters are danger. So let's get the train set up. Please note this does use the Class 365 enhancement pack by Armstrong Powerhouse, which really does revolutionise working the Class 365. The sounds are also very, very nicely depicted as well. So let's change our destination display to show that we're going to Peterborough, which begins with a P, so we'll get there. There we go, Peterborough. Wonderful stuff. So this also uses a modification that is available, the sun glare pack, which is something that has been put on the Class 365s due to the sun glare and the white paint that was used on the original units. The units were painted purple on the front just to reduce the sun glare on the driver when he's pulling into stations and doing the driver only operation mode. So we're going to open the doors on the left hand side and get them all open. And this is the interior here. It's not amazing. It's probably the worst part of the 365 is the interior, which is quite sort of Kuju-esque, if that's a way of saying it. Back in the old rail simulator days, it's very similar. We've got a Class 66 here, we've got another Class 66 here. This is depicting sort of the period when, or as it is currently, the East Coast Main Line is undergoing a lot of renovation work at the moment, and King's Cross particularly. This new tunnel at the end here on the right hand side is actually reopened to traffic. I'm not sure if anyone's going to update the route to reflect that. We'll have to wait and see, but there's a new, I believe this is Gasworks Tunnel. There's a new Gasworks Tunnel that has been opened, and it's revolutionised the amount of trains that can come in and out of King's Cross. So it's certainly very good from that respect as well. doors closed. What I'm also going to do while I'm here is just bump up the game volume a little bit, just because it's sometimes a little bit quiet. And off we go. Our next stop is Stevenage. So we're non-stop to Stevenage. That'll be a nice run for us. Get this Class 365 up to its maximum speed, which is 100 miles an hour. So in real life, there's blue barriers that are all down this platform here, and essentially, oh.
We will be calling at Stevenage, Biggleswade, St Neots, Huntington, and Peterborough. Safety information is provided on posters in every carriage. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to the staff, text British Transport on 61016, and we'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
Sorry guys, I'm gobsmacked. There was no mention that this scenario had announcements in it, and announcements, to me, they just perfect this game. Absolutely perfect it. I don't think you can get any more realistic without being in the real thing. Once you've added announcements to this game and passenger information screens, pretty much there's not much else you can do. But I didn't believe this scenario had announcements. There was no mention in the scenario description, unless I didn't read it or skimmed over it. I only read it briefly, and as soon as I saw that it mentioned the last 365's, I was interested. But announcements, oh my word, including the See It, Say It sorted British Transport Police announcement. That is brilliant. Absolutely, I'm gobsmacked. Gobsmacked. Immediately, my scenario ratings go up the minute that you include announcements. I don't know how you include announcements. Honestly, it's a magical force. I could probably look into doing it myself in my own scenarios, but I haven't had the time or dedication at the moment to be able to do that. If I had a bit more time to dedicate to the game, I probably would, given that they're becoming more and more of a common thing. Anyhow, so just to give you a brief idea, I'm just going to pause us as we come out of Gasworks Tunnel here. So currently, these two tunnels are in use at the moment, but in real life this is the third tunnel, and this has now been completely reinstated. So there's tracks that come through into here and connects up with the line that comes out to here, which basically doubles the capacity that can come into and out of London King's Cross. I mean, they've got the same amount of platforms, but because they have a new track layout, you can now access platform 0 and platform 1 dedicated from a line off to the left hand side here through another Gasworks tunnel. And that just basically increases the capacity out of London King's Cross. It's a very, very basic thing to do, but that the end outcome of that is superb. And here we go. I do like this route. When it first came out, I was immediately interested. London King's Cross is a pivotal station that a lot of people, a lot of spotters love to spot at. I mean, it's got such variation in terms of what uses it. We used to have the Class 313s, I believe, the 317s, I believe, at some point went into London King's Cross as well. You also have the 365's like these, 387s, you had the Class 180s, Grand Central and First Hull trains. First Hull trains no longer operate the 180s, and their 180s are with East Midlands Railway now. You also had 180s of Grand Central that used to operate into and out of London King's Cross, and then you had LNER, who operate the Class 91s. I say operate, not operated, because a few 91s are back in traffic at the moment to cover for the issues with the Hitachi trains. So it's quite an interesting sort of era that we live in at the moment. Certainly with everything going on, there's a lot of stock shuffles and everything that's going on with that. Something that does need to be implemented into the game is a drivable Class 700. I mean, I do like them as AI, and I believe it's Super Alves that's worked on these. It's done a fantastic rendition of a basic Class 700 and Class 707 and 717 as well. But in terms of the game, we do need a drivable version. Yeah, that is very much needed. I have a feeling this is going to be a fun scenario. There's already a lot of AI, and that already intrigues me in these scenarios. There's going to be a lot of these Class 700s. In real life, they operate very frequently on the network, going between Cambridge and Peterborough to stations in the south such as Horsham, Brighton, and alternate stations. Not sure if they go round to the Medway Valley from this side too. They might go down all the way through down to sort of Rochester way, heading towards that way. Rainham, I believe. Although I might be corrected there. My knowledge on that side of the country is not great. It's a lovely area to be part of though, and it's subject of an upcoming video, Train Sim World. We explore the Train Sim World 2 Southeastern High Speed, which I'm very much looking forward to. So keep an eye out for that video. That is coming soon. Just trying to release videos on a semi-regular basis. And I'll talk more about that as we get into the journey. Anyhow, you've got Hornsey Depot here on the right hand side, Fern Park on the left. Now, Hornsey Depot full of class, well, these ones with the white fronts are the Class 717s, and the ones with the yellow fronts are Class 700s. It is about as busy as it is in real life, which is nice to see. It does take its toll on the frame rate, unfortunately, which does drop a bit, but nothing too major. I'm hoping we can hit our final speed of 100 miles an hour. Once we get to 100, because we're non-stop to Stevenage, I am going to use the speed set, which you'll see me use once we have the line speed up to approximately 100, which should be very shortly. So for now, I'm just going to put us in notch 1 and let us cruise. There's Bounds Green, train and rolling stock maintenance depot. Even a nice little Grand Central 180 there on the left-hand side, right-hand side as well. Perfect. And we're on the restricted signals already. Interesting. So when you've got double yellows, unless you immediately go down to a single yellow, I don't tend to worry too much about these. The signalling pattern and the amount of signals there are on this route usually allow you to slow down quick enough. There's the 100 mile an hour, so usually I would put in the speed set, which I might do a little bit later in the journey, but if we're chasing yellows, I don't want to risk it too much. Sort of keep the speed around this seems about right. It's a wonderfully created route, and I'm using the AP Sky and Weather Enhancement Pack to sort of enhance the visuals on the route. Includes these new clouds, these new photorealistic clouds which have been included, which actually transform the experience once again. So very much enjoying this new update to the Sky and Weather Enhancement Pack. Part of what Richard Armstrong does always to keep the simulator up to date. Might shove us in notch 2 just to keep our speed up so that we don't lose too much speed. I noticed that we are losing a little bit of speed in notch 1. Seems to me that we're consistently following something. I like to keep it sort of, in real life you wouldn't know what you're following. You don't have access to the train diagrams whilst you're running, I don't believe. Used to be that using personal electronic devices was frowned upon whilst you were driving trains. They had to be turned off and inside your bag. That being said, a lot of train companies, especially freight operating companies, FOCs, have tablets which they provide to the drivers, and these tablets are required to be on at the time of driving. They must aid with payroll and stuff like that. Maybe you must clock in when you start the journey, and then once you finish, clock out, and it determines how long you're spending driving. Now that is a single yellow, so I'm now going to shove us immediately into quite a harsh brake application. I think full service would be almost necessary here. No, we seem to be alright. So these little gauges here determine the difference between the brake value and the acceleration value of the unit. Seems to be doing alright at the moment. Sort of jumping back and forth between single yellows and double yellows. I'm just going to have a look on the map, just be a bit cheeky and centre our player, just to have a look to see what we're following. One Tango 52. Now 1 Tango 52 will likely be an Ely bound service, or a service up to Cambridge, usually formed of 365's, although these days 387's. Well, everything these days is usually 387's. Ah, there we go. Talking of 387s. Some nice 387s over there. Trying to keep the brake and acceleration values to be alright. I just don't want to hit a red in case this 1 Tango service decides to randomly stop. I do believe they are non-stop, these services between Finsbury Park and Stevenage, so we should be alright following them. There shouldn't be any issue at all. And that's what happens when you don't pay any attention. Interesting. I have just put ourselves in emergency, so hopefully there shouldn't be too much issue. I was not expecting that, to be honest. I thought that the signals were going to keep us on our toes, but clearly he's not at the station ahead, so that's interesting. I'm going to reset our train, get us back to normal. Right, here we go, and we can go back to normal. I think this hopefully should be able to prove that these videos are exactly one take. I don't like doing multiple takes when it comes to videos, just because of the time it takes to be able to process them, to edit them, to be able to... we've got a bit of wheel slip here, from the looks of it. Yeah, just because of the time it takes to process them, to edit them, to get it right and everything. I don't dedicate my life to YouTube. I do it in my spare time, and of which I don't have much. Maybe 1 or 2 days a week. The other days I'm at work. So for me, it's a luxury to be able to create YouTube videos. So I try my best when I am driving to be as attentive as possible. It's never always perfect. If I was a real driver by now, I would have been taken off shift. Would have had a drugs test waiting and in the sin bin basically, waiting to be, well, investigated for whatever the hell has just happened there. Such as, I've always had that question when it comes to train drivers, and maybe a train driver might watch this and be able to answer it for me. I don't know. But it's always the question is, when you are chasing yellows, how on earth are you ever able to determine whenever a signal will change? So for example, say you're following single yellow after single yellow after single yellow after single yellow, how do you know for sure the next one's not going to be red? And how do you best prepare for that? You can't, because you can't constantly keep slowing down to 15 miles an hour every time you go past a yellow signal, because by that point you'll be losing so much time on the journey as well. So it's an interesting sort of subject, and one I've never really been able to answer. I asked a train driver once, and his answer was relatively incomplete by the means that he basically said, well, it's something you know when you're a train driver. You learn it and you know it and you understand it. You have to treat every signal as what you believe it's going to be, and just go by that. And it's difficult to explain. So I'm not expecting someone to be able to answer that question, but it's just an interesting question to pose nonetheless. Don't want to go too fast in case we end up with single yellows again and a similar situation. I didn't expect that signal to be red, especially if he hasn't stopped anywhere. That's interesting. And we are following something. This looks like to be... Yep, it is a Class 717 white. Very nice. So the difference between a Class 700 and a 717. 717s are built for the Moorgate branches. I believe they're 5 coaches long in total, and not 9 or 12. Sorry, not 8 or 12, which is what the 700s are, like this one. That'll be a 12-car one. They've also instead of having flat fronts just like the 700s do and be fixed formation, the Class 717s have ladders down on either side, and that's simply because they serve the Moorgate tunnels, and the Moorgate tunnels have strict rules on the type of traction that is used to be specified to have tunnel evacuation equipment on the front and rear of the units. Just in case anything happened down those tunnels. They are quite old tunnels. They're not built to the same extent that the tunnels through King's Cross. Sorry, they're not built to the same extent that the tunnels through St Pancras Thameslink are, or anything like that. They're different tunnels, and that's the reason why the 700s don't have to have the same equipment that the 717s have, despite the 700s using tunnels and the 717s using tunnels. It depends on the tunnel. Seems to be alright with the speed now. Decent bit of AI in this scenario. I like a scenario that keeps you on your toes, it's got a lot of AI. And that one that has announcements is even better. That really does. I know it's only a small feature, but it revolutionises the game, and hopefully we'll have an announcement as we approach Stevenage to say this train's now approaching Stevenage. Change here for blah 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 blah. Be nice to have that. If not, it's just as well. You know, we'll have to wait and see what the scenario gives us. Back on the single yellows again. Yeah, I'm going to start braking. So you know what the last one did. Oh, no. And very difficult to determine the difference between emergency and full service. Trying to have a look in the distance to see what colour the next signal is. Passengers on this train aren't going to be very happy with the amount of times that we're going back and forth between the power modes. I can't tell what colour this signal is, I just can't see. I can see that there's a yellow on the left hand side. I can't see what's on our... Is it... It might be a green? I can't tell. Yeah, that is a green. It's interesting. Oh, I like a green signal. Makes a change. Well, it looks like we're approaching... this will be Welwyn Garden City by the looks of it. Might be that 387 that we were following there. I didn't know they stopped at Welwyn Garden City, the One Tango services. It's interesting. I thought they were non-stop Finsbury Park through to Stevenage. Well, that's us now with a clear run all the way up to Stevenage. Not far away, so we haven't got that far to go. So I'm not going to put the speed set on just yet. I think after Stevenage we do have to have recurring stops after that, so it's not much point having the speed set on. But just to show you what it does and how to activate it, I will put it on for all intents and purposes for everyone. So our line speed is well above what we need to be, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the speed set using this all the way up to 100, and then speed set will be active, and then I'm going to increase us up to notch 4, and then it means we won't go over 100 miles an hour. We shouldn't do either because the red line's there. So in real life there would be spotters all along these platforms because these are the last 365's in service. On the last ever service out of King's Cross. Once these get to Peterborough, they will be retired to the carriage sidings, and that'll be that. The end of that story. So there is a cab light featured. Activates like this. It does display, very nice indeed. And it does have a working driver safety device. Now if I press Ctrl D, it will activate it, and we can enjoy the driver safety device, which will inevitably start beeping. And I believe it's the E key to be able to reset that. There you go, so that's the driver safety device. Now I can isolate that once again because it's bloody annoying. Although if you are a train driver in real life, you'd have to keep that up. So a little pedal down here is basically lifts and drops. That is your driver safety device for all intents and purposes. Nice little 10 car class 801 possibly IET service there of the LNER, the Zoomers. Anyhow, we're now just, oh, how far away are we of Stevenage? 1836 and it's 1835.
You will shortly be arriving at Stevenage. Please remember to take all your belongings with you when you leave the train.
Nice little announcement there for Stevenage. Certainly a woman's voice that I seem to recall hearing that along quite a few train journeys that I've been on. So this is the wonderful Stevenage station here. Our first station calling point on this service. That's the 8 car marker right there, so we'll go to all doors open and get a nice little screenshot with us here at Stevenage, which will do quite nicely for the thumbnail for the photo of the video. There you go, so when you clicked on this video, that'll probably be the screenshot that you see there of us at Stevenage. Very nice indeed. So on departure from Stevenage, we are going to have a little chat about the route, where it's available from, how much it is, what it includes, just a bit about the route, so that you know what you're buying into with a lot of these Dovetail Games bits and bobs. I do find that a little bit annoying. It's the only thing that I'm going to start to have issues with on this route. I'm probably not going to pass the scenario because I do open the doors, but if you use the Armstrong Powerhouse sort of inbuilt door release function thing, it doesn't register it on Train Sim. You still have to press T like you would normally, which is a limitation of the software and obviously of the game itself. So I'm probably not going to pass this. As you can see, I failed there at Stevenage, unfortunately, which nothing I can do about that. Technically, I've passed. 1387. Is he not stopping? He didn't look like he was stopping. Okay. No, he's not stopping. Interesting. 2 Romeo 55, a service on the East Coast Main Line operated by Great Northern.
Peterborough. We will be calling at Nicholswade, St Neots, Huntingdon, and Peterborough.
Yeah, a service that doesn't stop at Stevenage, that's a Class 2 on the East Coast Main Line. That intrigues me. I wonder what service that was. Very interesting. I'm just interested in a lot of these pathing systems and how it works. I thought most services on the East Coast Main Line stop at Stevenage, apart from the LNER services, of course. Only a select number of them stop there. I didn't know it was an optional station for a lot of services. I know there are a few services that go up to Cambridge and stuff like that that don't stop at Stevenage. They might be non-stop from London to Cambridge. I think the King's Lynn service is non-stop London to Cambridge, so that might be what that was. You never know. Certainly refreshing to have a version of the Class 700 in the game. I think a lot of people were hoping that the new Trainsimwell 2 London to Brighton DLC came with a Class 700, but unfortunately it looks like it's going to come with a Class 387, which essentially, I know they bode well with everything that they try and do, but it seems to me that South Eastern High Speed, you know, the only thing they really worked on was the 395. The 375 is essentially a 377 that's just been given a reskin and it's been reworked. And yet again, London to Brighton new DLC Trainsimwell 2 is yet again exactly the same 377 that potentially they had on the original London to Brighton. Just that we're hoping for different sub variants this time. So I don't know how far Biggleswade actually is, because it's not telling me, and it's not showing up on the map either as where it is. So we might go flying past Biggleswade on this scenario, but you never know. Gonna have to use my route knowledge on this one, which isn't fantastic, but hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. We'll go back into the old speed set. Have to keep an eye on the routes via this means, so we are going past Hitchin next, which is where the services breaks off to go towards that's Royston and Cambridge, that route there. Now I'll get onto the route as a whole here and what's included once this train's just gone past, because we have got a 1 Alpha 41, which might indeed be something other than your Class 800. Nope. Just a 5-car Class 800. That's intriguing to see, certainly. Anyhow, so this is East Coast Main Line London to Peterborough. It's available by Dovetail Games. It is approximately now $14.99. Maybe it's how I remember it, but I seem to remember it was initially released for $24.99, so it came with the Class 365. Before it was given an enhancement pack and everything, of course. But yeah, looks like it's been lowered in price. It's now available for just $14.99. It is a very worthwhile purchase if you haven't got it already. It's available for this Trainsimwell 2021, which is also available on Steam. If you want to get it up to this the standard that I'm running it at the moment, what you require is obviously the Class 365, East Coast Main Line, London to Peterborough. On top of that, you'll require the AP Sky and Weather Enhancement Pack, which you can download from Armstrong Powerhouse's website, as well as the AP Armstrong Powerhouse Class 365 Enhancement Pack, which you can also download from the Armstrong Powerhouse website. Now they're all payware, as in payware add-ons for the game. Now I have a substantial amount of add-ons for Train Sim. I've been collecting for the game for a very long time. If I go to my my Train Sim Steam page, it will tell me that I've now got 148 payware Steam DLC for Train Sim. That's just Steam DLC. That's not including the amount of money that I spent on this game. Just trains on Armstrong Powerhouse routes, and I've probably spent in excess. I've got 3 or 4 pages of Armstrong Powerhouse material that I've purchased over the years. I probably invested a heavy amount of money in this. Probably around £5,000 to £6,000 over the years in this game. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I just thought it'd be a bit stupid not to be able to share that with you guys. So at the same time, I don't want to miss my next stop, wherever the hell this is, Biggleswade, which is here. Oh, we've still got a little bit to go, that's good. So yeah, it's a very diverse route. Essentially, I'll show you on the route map what it covers. So in the north of the route, which is here, you've got the line into Peterborough here, as well as Peterborough Yard and everything that exists over there. You don't have, I believe you've got Skittles over here in real life. It's not called Skittles, it's called something beginning with K. I don't know why Skittles came to mind this week. It's essentially some carriage sidings at the north side of Peterborough that were built recently. They don't exist in the game because it wasn't set in that time period, but you do have Neen carriage sidings here, which are the carriage sidings to the south of the station, and the line that goes off to March only included about that far. And then you get the line all the way down to King's Cross. Something that we notice here is the Hertford Loop. This is called the Hertford Loop, which goes via Hertford North. This is not included in the game. Weirdly, the track is included, but it's not been any scenery put in. Now, someone has worked very hard and released a scenerised, if that's the right word, version of this route with the Hertford Loop included. I think it might be on Steam Workshop, so it's worth a good look if you want to have a look at that. But for all intents and purposes, this part of the route has not been completed with scenery, so I'm not really sure why they include it at all, to be honest. That's beyond me. I think somewhere along the line they probably thought, oh, we might be able to give them a payware update for $5.99 and include the Hertford Loop for an extra $5.99, but yeah, that never came to fruition. Anyway, you also don't have the Moorgate line, you only have it as far as here, which is just south of Drayton Park, where you do the power changeover to DC. I think the DC aspect must be another part of why the Class 717s have different evacuation techniques to the Class 700s. Right, we'll start to slow down here for Biggleswade, and I'll turn off the speed set. But it is a wonderful route. I really, really enjoy it, and I think it's been lovingly made. It's been lovingly made, absolutely lovingly made. I'm not quite sure. I might include the Class 800 this route. I seem to remember the Steam has a photo of the Class 800 in this route. So I don't know whether it includes it, but it might do.
We will shortly be arriving at Biggleswade. Please remember to take all your belongings with you when you leave the train. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
And unfortunately, I can confirm we are now running late. I think we were due into here at approximately 47, but it's nearly 49. Well, it is 49 now. I'm just trying to come in as quickly as possible so that we can not waste any time. Right, press T so that I don't forget. There you go. I'm just going to leave us in forward because the DSD is isolated, so that shouldn't be beeping away. And here we are. Welcome to this is Biggleswade. We only have a couple more stops. We've got Biggleswade, I believe it's St Neots, Huntington, and Peterborough. That's quite a decent service actually, to be honest. And there's a lot more stations on this line this service could call at. Let's close the doors. There we go, let's get on our way. So we're only 1 minute late leaving, that's alright. Hopefully we might be able to see if there's enough leniency in the timetable to allow us to have that time back. Although I have to bear in mind we are now on the relief lines, which means that we're limited to 80 miles an hour by the looks of it. So I will put the speed set on. Just to take us up to 80. She's there. And there we go, not 4.
Welcome aboard this service to Peterborough. We will be calling at St Neots, Huntingdon and Peterborough.
So let's have a nice little watch of us passing. If I can keep pressing all the wrong buttons, I really do. So these 365's that have retired, a lot of them have headed up to Crewe South Yard. I don't know entirely why. There's been regular occurrences between Crewe South Yard and Crewe Train Maintenance Depot, the electric one, the International Electric Maintenance Depot run by DB on the north side of the town. There's been regular occurrences between 365's being dragged by rail operations group class 37s and locomotives up there. I believe it's some sort of government contract to keep them warm in warm storage. Now, warm storage, alternative to cold storage, essentially means that, that instead of the unit being kept cold, as in all the electronics being turned off and it just remaining like that for the period of storage, warm storage essentially means that every so often someone comes in and powers them up. Now you can't power them up in Crewe South Yard because there's no wires in Crewe South Yard, so it'd be impossible to do that. So what they do instead is they rail operations group send a 37. It then goes down to Crewe, goes to the South Yard, tows a 365 over to the IMD, the International Electric Maintenance Depot, and then it pans up in there and spends about a day or two, maybe a little bit longer, and then drags one back in the evening back to the South Yard for storage again. So it's sort of a regular Monday occurrence. I don't know if it still runs. Last time I checked it was. But yeah, so some of these are in warm storage. It's not all of them though. It's a lot of the ScotRail ones that were retired are in warm storage, as well as a few of the Great Northern ones. Whether these ones that have just retired now will join them, who knows? But they're being retained, and someone's paying in the bill to have these kept in warm storage. Someone's footing the bill to have rail operations groups and Class 37 all the way from Leicester just to drag it. The seriously ridiculous contract. Rail operations group have to send a locomotive all the way from Leicester to Crewe to drag a unit from one side of Crewe station to the other, and then do the return trip in the afternoon to then just go home all the way back to Leicester. Someone is footing the bill for that. Someone in the government is footing the bill for that. So if you wonder where your taxes are going, they're going down the bloody toilet. That's where. I don't really understand that. No one's been able to provide an adequate explanation. It's just they're being kept in warm storage. There's a contract to keep them in warm storage. The end of it. They're not being scrapped. That's it. So I'm entirely in limbo about that. Not a clue. Don't know why someone's paying for that, but don't know where they're going to go. They've just scrapped some perfectly good Class 321s, and yet they want to keep these things running. Interesting. find it very interesting that those class 700s, they're fixed formation units in 12 coaches. It's a long length of train to have in one formation of train. It's a long way. Maybe on a good day, if you're sat in coach 12, you might be able to, because they don't have gangways or anything. It's straight through. You can walk all the way. There's no doors or anything. You just walk all the way and see from coach 12 through to coach 1. If you're on a straight. If you're going around a curve, you might not be able to. But yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting design of train as well. Designed by Siemens and produced by Siemens, I believe, in Germany. Siemens have just launched a factory in Goole, or are launching a factory in Goole in Yorkshire, to build the new tube trains for London. These tube trains are going to be launched in 2025 for the Piccadilly line. They're going to replace the trains on the Piccadilly line, which is interesting because that will mean that the Bakerloo line trains will outlive the Piccadilly line trains despite being older than them, which is weird. So don't ask me why they're replacing the Piccadilly line first. Presumably there is a lot more capacity on the on the Piccadilly line, and there's a lot more need for the upgrade to happen. Maybe I think they want to up the amount of trains into Heathrow, because obviously they're boosting travel out of London Heathrow, London's biggest airport, and potentially it could be all part of that rather than what the Bakerloo line is. You know, I know it says Paddington and Marylebone and stations like that, but once it gets out of London, it's just, you know, up the West Coast main line up to Harrow. And it's not, you know, it serves a crucial part of London, but there's probably not much work they can do to it as for now. But hopefully, if these trains are successful, maybe it might be the new tube train for London, and as a result, it might see that could then migrate over to the Bakerloo line, which would be interesting. But if you are interested in riding London's oldest tube train at the moment, it is the Bakerloo line, which is operating, don't know what year stop, that's way beyond me. 1972 rings a bell. I don't know why or where from, but yeah, 1972 rings a bell. So yeah, but you can ride them for years to come. But don't worry about the Piccadilly line, because they'll still be operating up until 2025 when they get replaced. But do keep an eye out for trains. Drags of tube stock are going to be coming back now the S-stock drags have finished, from Goole through to London. Keep an eye out for that. Once again, I've pressed V.
Please remember to take all your belongings with you when you leave the train.
Once again, I pressed the wrong button. I pressed V instead of B to do the horn. Trying to approach these stations as fast as possible, leaving the break until as late as possible, so that I can then focus on catching up the lost time in this service. It's risky, and if it works. Seem to be very, very long platforms here at St Neots. Oh, we've gone past our marker. We'll just stop here, that'll do. So what time were we due at St Neots? Oh, 90. Oh, we've actually done it. We've made back the time. We're actually 20 seconds early now, so we've actually successfully made back the time. Well done, everyone. Superb. Right, so what's our line speed here? 80. So we'll keep the speed set on. That seems about right. lovely sight here at Peterborough. I think one of my favourite views is this is what the driver would see when he's sat at the station. Not sure, but we might get overtaken by something. Fingers crossed, we might have some AI that overtakes us on this journey. This man wants to be a bit careful. He's on the wrong side of that yellow line, definitely. If something came passing through here at high speed, he wouldn't have that coffee in his hand, that's for sure. He's a risk taker. Oh, talking about AI that's going to overtake us. Matey boy, do you want to stand behind that yellow line, mate? No, you're alright. Okay. I don't want to see this. So, ripped to that gentleman who is now no more, thanks to that lovely Class 180. Oh well, you look like a nice chap. I did warn him. feels a bit wrong, but this game sometimes it has to sort of play the fine line between, you know, simulation and reality, and obviously that side of things where you get the more ruthless side of the railway, I think, where it's never easy to be at that part of the railway. Anyhow, let's get a move on. So now we are just Huntington, I believe. Yep, and Peterborough.
Welcome aboard this service to Peterborough. We will be calling at Huntington and Peterborough.
So, little update for the channel for you. Expect a lot more content in the future. I'm trying to keep my posts, my updates, and my content as regular as possible. Obviously, that's difficult because I work 5 out of 7 days a week, so I dedicate my days off. One of them to creating content, and the other one to uploading content from the previous week. So, I do dedicate a lot of my time. And I have got a bit of time off coming up very soon, so I'm hoping to upload a bit more content then. Although I want to keep to sort of a schedule. One a week seems about right for now. I don't want to go overboard, and I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. So hopefully you are enjoying these videos, and if you are, you know, feel free to get in touch, leave a like. You can even add me on Steam if you wish, if you're interested. I know there is no multiplayer in train simulation at the moment, but still good to be able to see what we can do. So, how far is Huntington? It's quite a way. Anyhow, so we should be having some more videos coming up in the future. I have done my video on Ship Simulator. That is a video I was happy that I've done. So everyone now knows about the future of ship simulation and all of that. That's that out of the way. I can now focus on other games. For example, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I am going to be doing a flight on that. I'm going to be doing a flight from my local airport up to an airport in Scotland. Quite a scenic flight in a little light aircraft. It's going to be quite a nice little flight. You'll be able to see my awful flying skills using the Xbox 360 controller, which is essentially the flight controller that I have. I don't have anything special because I don't have the room for it at the moment, and I don't want to spend that money on a bit of kit that I don't know if I've got the room for it. So. But yeah, so expect some more flight sim videos. Euro Truck Simulator, I'm certainly going to have a look into that as soon as possible. It's sort of on the back burner at the moment because I know that Euro Truck Sim is not something everyone wants to watch. So at the moment it's a little bit on the back burner, but as soon as we get a Euro Truck Simulator video out, I'm hoping to do that in June. So that should be very soon, and then we can follow up with an American Truck Simulator video shortly after that for anyone who likes the trucking scene. Once again, they'll be in my weekly videos. So one week I'll be doing Train Simulator, another week Train Sim World, another week I'll be doing something else. And I do want to get onto all the routes that are available. As I said, one of my next drive time videos that I'm going to be doing is on the Fife Circle, which is one of the routes that Dovetail Games have got out now. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be one of my next upcoming drive time videos. I hope you've enjoyed one of my latest drive time videos, which I've just uploaded, which is, I believe it was drive time on the East Coast Main Line. A little bit further up this time, we did the new DP simulation routes. I say new or updated DP simulation North East England route, which goes from York through to Sunderland, all the way up to Sunderland, and that is an interesting route. So if you are interested in that, do keep an eye. That was blind luck that I managed to see that come up there.
We will shortly be arriving at Huntington. Please remember to take all your belongings with you when you leave the train.
So this is our last station before we code non-stop to Peterborough. Try not to miss our marker on this one, so let's see what we can do. Stopping a bit short on this one instead of a bit far. You never know with these station platforms how long they're going to be or where the markers are. I guess with route knowledge you sort of know that stuff, but unless you've got that route knowledge it's difficult to determine, you see. So I'll shove us by these lights here, should do. Ah, look at that. Exactly where you're meant to park in real life, that's perfect. Let's get back in the cab. So, between here and here in Peterborough we are non-stop, so I hope you enjoy that run. We are on time, we are, oh yeah, we are about 30 seconds early by the looks of it, that's good. Oh, can I hear something? Keep thinking I can hear something that's going to overtake us. It's a green light, so quite potentially. I've never done this scenario before, so everything's a surprise. Maybe I'm hearing things. You never know. Right, let's go. wondering if I'm going mad or if the train's going to overtake us.
Peterborough. We will be calling at Peterborough.
Yeah, so to continue with the updates for my channel, I'm hoping to delve into a fair bit of stuff. OMSI 2 I would like to delve into. I've got everything that I need to delve into it. I just need to calibrate my Xbox 360 controller. And I know that sounds like an easy task, but for me and someone who doesn't drive in OMSI very often, it's something that I want to look into and I want to perfect. So OMSI 2 is coming soon, but I cannot dedicate it any sooner than that. I am going to put Euro Truck Simulator and Flight Simulator first, just because I've got all of them ready basically, and then we'll focus on OMSI when I feel I've got the channel up a bit more, just so that people know what I'm doing and people can have a look at my videos and enjoy them. Basically, know what I'm on about and basically know what I'm here to do and provide you with here on YouTube. Whether that be with sort of your drive time, point of view of the train driver, cab ride video, or whether that's like this, your standard video from myself, route review, or whatever. Nice to have a bit of freight. Wow, lovely. I mean, that makes a change to have a bit of freight on this route, that's for sure. But yeah, it's a very, very good route, and for anyone that is looking into purchasing a new route for Train Simulator, I do very much encourage you to do so. I very much enjoy the route, and you can purchase it as part of a bundle now, I believe, which is available on Steam. So there's a bundle available called the Great British Railway Journeys Bundle. Now this includes the East Coast Main Line London to Peterborough, the Great Eastern Main Line from London to Ipswich, the Portsmouth Direct Line London Waterloo to Portsmouth, Settle and Carlisle, and the Chatham and Medway Valley lines. And you can purchase all of them for £24.99. Now some of them are routes that are worth £24.99 on their own, so effectively you're getting a route plus 4 other routes for free. So that is a very, very good bundle if you're looking for a route bundle. It says it's £24.99, and I believe it's £24.99. It's showing up as £24.99 on my screen. Although I've got everything that is in that bundle, I've already got them. So that might be why it's showing up as £24.99. You can also purchase this as a bundle with the First Capital Connect Class 321. That's available for £24.99. That way you get the route and the unit included for a combined price is £24.99. So I will include in the description a link to this scenario. I'll include a link to the route where you can purchase it from Steam. I'll also include a link to the Class 365 Enhancement Pack, just so you know where you can get that from as well. There'll be a lot more Train Simulator videos to come. As I stated, I've got a drive time video that I'd like to record. Now our drive time will be sort of every other Train Sim 2021 video, just because I do thoroughly enjoy it, because it's a simple one to record. Essentially you just need to record an intro and then you turn the mic off and just focus on driving like you would in real life. So it's a decent one to be able to do. Yeah, do keep an eye out for Train Sim World 2, which will be coming up in some of my new videos. I'm hoping to record a Train Sim World 2 video and have it ready for the start of June. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming very soon here to LM Simulation on YouTube. Also, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'm more than happy to advise and see if I can help anyone out. Also, just a general friendly chat. If if you want to sort of talk about the game or anything, more than happy to help. Also, I am a scenario creator myself, so I create scenarios like these. I don't include the announcements as I stated earlier, but I do create scenarios for Train Simulator. They're available on Alan Thompson Simulation under the name LM Trains, so just keep an eye out on there. I have recently released my one of my latest scenarios is a brand new scenario that I had in the works, DRS Day Out, and that sees you drive a Chiltern Railways Class 68 between Crewe and Warrington. Now, if you are interested in that, there's a very different style of routes for the Transpennine, for the Chiltern Class 68. Do have a look over on Alan Thompson Simulation for that latest scenario. It should be up by now. At the time of recording this video, it is awaiting to be processed by the team, but it should be live by now over on the ATS site. I do hope to continue my scenario creation. At the moment it's a little bit on hold. I'm just trying to focus on the existing scenarios that I have. I want to get them tested and finished and then released, rather than focus on creating new stuff. I can create a new scenario in a couple of hours, but then when it comes to testing it, making sure it works fine tuning it, creating the README, it all takes a little bit more time, so it's not the fastest thing in the world. And I've got an idea for another scenario that I'd like to make. So do keep an eye out for that over at ATS. So it can't be that far from Peterborough. I think we're at the Conington area, is it? Yep, Conington, yep. Sounds about right, yep. Oh. Not again. Oh, blimey. Oh dear, this is not good. So we were waiting for someone to overtake us. I wish it would have overtaken us before. Okay, well I am going to have to go back on this one because we're nearly at a junction, so... Well, at least you know that that there's a real human being. Nobody's perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I'm certainly not this bad usually. It will just be because I'm recording a video. I have a lot of experience of driving this game, believe it or not. And it extends way beyond having spads. Let's turn that on so we don't do anything silly. What are we waiting for? Nothing. Literally nothing by the looks of it. Let's keep an eye. Can't be too long because I know we've got a little bit to Peterborough and we're due in 10 minutes, so maybe a couple of minutes away. There we go, 1 Sierra 30, so it'll be an Edinburgh service. 1 Sierra 30 is usually Edinburgh, Aberdeen or Glasgow, because I do believe they still have a service that does go to Glasgow, although I'm not sure if it's running at the moment, but they used to have a service that used to go to Glasgow. I believe it used to arrive in Glasgow about 10:30 or something like that, if I remember rightly, 9:30. Could be completely wrong, but it then overnights at Palmedy, which doesn't usually have 91s, so it's quite a rare circumstance. And then it would work its way back to London in the morning. That's the scenario I'd love to do with the 91 enhancement pack. Oh, fantastic! Drive that from Edinburgh to Glasgow with the 91 enhancement pack. Yes, please. Fun and games. What the hell is... Oh, I see what's happened. Just bear with me while I rectify this brief train sim irregularity. There you go. Sometimes when you're sat at signals for a bit long, the models sort of disappear. I don't know whether it's something to save on CPU usage or something. It's something I really wish didn't happen, and I don't know if there's any way of fixing it. I don't know if it's up to Dovetail Games but it's a weird one. It seems to happen when you're sat at signals, which is annoying because a lot of my scenarios, including one that I'm thinking of doing in the future, involve sitting in loops, and it's a realistic aspect to life, and I want to include that in the game. But the issue between AI models disappearing and just becoming nothing is a bit of a... It puts me off wanting to do something like that, if you know what I mean. Right, this train will get miles in front because it's an IET. Not sure if they stop at Peterborough though, the Edinburgh's. Oh, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't tell me this is a red. I was about to say, don't tell me this is another red, otherwise I would be in deep doo-doo, I think is the term. Single yellow, I can deal with that. I should get miles ahead. Yeah, there you go. Double yellow, that's fine. I mean, it was doing a fair... It was clapping along at a fair speed anyhow. So, you can see why they call them happy trains. They've got a little smiley face here, and then they've got the eyes here. To me, I don't call them happy trains. I prefer to call them after what I believe they should be called, which is Mike Sullivan or something like that. It just reminds me out of someone out of Monster Who with like really, it's got loads of eyes. That's just what it reminds me of. It doesn't remind me of a happy train, it just reminds me of something out of Monsters Inc. So, bit of a weird one. So, for some reason, I thought, it reminds me of something out of Monsters Inc. So I'm just going to call it the Mike Sullivan train, and that's what's stuck in my head. So for me, they're the Mike Sullivan train, and that's just a personal thing. It's nothing that the spotting community have to entertain or anything like that. Nothing to do with anyone. It's the Mike Sullivan train. Yeah, it's still alright, that's good. Can't afford to have another spad. Right, here we go, up to 100 miles an hour for the last time in passenger service. I can't believe this. It's feels like I should have a tear in my eye as I drive this train. Certainly been a very, very good scenario. So scenario will be listed in the description if you'd like to download this yourself. It is a brilliant scenario with announcements, and you can't knock a scenario with announcements. Certainly can't. So hopefully very soon you'll have a little branch coming in from the left hand side. This will be the branch off to the Nene Valley Railway, which is not included unfortunately in this. However, I do believe it is being made. Finally. No one's actually attempted to make it yet, but the guys over at West Anglia Great Northern, I think his name's James, on Facebook, I believe, Facebook group. One of his team, one of the guys over on that group, is designing the Nene Valley Railway. I'm very excited to see what they come up with. It's a railway we'd love to see in the game. It's a beautiful, diverse railway as well. It's got some lovely halts on it. I've only been on it once myself. Managed to see Tornado whilst it was laid over there after it had its massive issue that resulted in its layover at... oh dear, we've gone over that very fast. And there you go, there. That from the left there is Nene Valley Railway. We will be so sacked after this trip today. Well, at least we're going to be arriving in Peterborough early. Yep, there you go. Okay, that means it's not red, that's good. Okay, we can live with that. We're just going over the line here that comes in from March, from the line that comes in, technically, from Ely. And the River Nene. I believe it's the River Nene. So, Class 365's parked up here over at the Nene carriage sidings. Nice little freight that's also here as well.
We will shortly be arriving at Peterborough, our final destination. Thank you for travelling with us. Please remember to take all your belongings with you when you leave the train. Change here for other national rail services. Alight here for services to the north. Exit here for the Nene Valley Railway.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to the staff or text British Transport List on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
I feel like I should do a horn salute for being the final Class 365 to arrive at Peterborough. So busy doing the horns I missed my marker. Welcome to Peterborough for the last ever time in your class 365. Well, I hope you enjoyed this scenario today. Working this service all the way up from London through to here in Peterborough has been a very fun run with the last of the 365's, and it's been very, very fun working it. So yeah, until next time, have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or whatever you're up to at the moment, and I hope to see you next here for my next video on LM simulation here on YouTube. Take care and have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye bye.